Welcome to day 5 Loops in Python. In data engineering, we process thousands and millions of records every day. We have to operate CSVs, Parquet, or any type of file format row by row. We have to validate list of file names. We have to calculate totals for multiple data entry. So for all such operators, looping plays a very critical role. What is a loop? Loop allows you to execute a certain set of code or a certain block of code as long as the condition is true. There are two type of loops available in Python. One is for loop and another is while loop. When each of the type is used, so let's take the example of the for loop. The for loop is used when you know the length or there is a definitive length to the data type that you are using. For example, you have a list, so you know that okay, there is a list, it's not an infinite, there is certain length to it. We have a dictionary, we have a range of numbers, so we definitely know the end of it, or at least of are sure that there is an end to that particular statement. In such cases we use loop, we use for loop. The syntax is for there is certain variable, and that variable is validated in that particular sequence, and a block of code is executed. Example of a for loop is, let's say we have an array of definite length US, European, APAC as a values in it, and we iterate over it to just simply print that out. So we'll just simply print what is present in the array. Correct? Similarly, there is another example where we are having a range of numbers, let's say 1 to 6, or just simply make it 10, so that the result change and you are able to see the difference. So you ran a particular variable and it validated, or it iterated over each and every point in that range. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It iterated over it. Okay, so it started from 1 and less than 10. It is starts from this, and just before an end it stops, so it is always a less than. This is a very important thing. The last one is not executed. The last one is where the condition fails, and therefore it doesn't goes or it doesn't executes the block. This is a perfect example of it. So for example, it will start from 1. When it start printing, it every time it checks that whether it's over or not, but when it comes to this last element, it realizes that the iteration is over and it will not print the last one. Similarly, there is an example of, let's say there is an array of sales numbers and we just wanted to loop over it. Like for example, an amount in sales. Amount is a particular pointer or a variable pointing to this, correct? So each time it is going to take one variable at a time. So for the first time it is going to take 12,000. Okay, so once 12,000 comes, so 12,000 we'll just replace it. So this is like 12,000 in sales. Okay, so at each and every place the 12,000 will be replaced. Is 12,000 greater than 10,000? Yes. So a high sale amount is printed. You can see that. Similarly, uh, then the next value will be taken. So we'll just take simply 8,000 here. 8,000 in sales, because that's the next value. Is 8,000 greater than 10? No. So this is a false condition, and therefore the condition last video only we have seen conditional statement else will be true, a default will be true, and will come here and will print this out, normal sale and amount as 8,000. You can see. Then it will move over to next, that is 15,000. Okay, 15,000 in sales. How it is 15,000 greater than 10,000? Yes, sure. So therefore a high sale and 15,000 would be printed. So this is how it works. So we just saw, right, like a variable is there, for I, or simply I is not the right way to define the variable. For amount in sales, if amount is greater than 10,000, this particular values will be printed. Okay, so variable iterates over each and every each and every uh, member of an array or the collection that is given here. Similarly, we can iterate over dictionary. So let's say there is a dictionary called record region US key value pair, right? Dictionary key value pair, key value. So we can, what we can simply do is we have to iterate over two different things. So we just use like for key value in record, key will point to region while value will point to US. We can just simply print. So region US is printed as a first element. Second element revenue and 12,000 will be printed, and as a third part we'll print key as cost and revenue as 8,000. So this is very important. When we don't know the definitive length of a collection and wanted to use a loop, then we definitely go for a while loop. While loop is something we use when we are sure of the condition that when it should fail. We are not sure of the length, but we are sure of the condition when it should fail. Therefore, the technical syntax of while loop is while condition do execute a block of code. So let's say this is a typical example where we take a count as 1 and then simply check that okay, count is less than or equal to 5, then keep on printing. And while printing it out, we keep on increasing the count value. So count will start with first. So 1 is less than 5, yes, true. So it is going to go and print. But immediately 1 becomes 2. After this point, once this is printed, the counter increments and we have count value as 2. So is 2 less than 5, less than or equal to 5? True, yes, and therefore it will go inside the loop and it is again going to print. Similarly, 3, 4 and 5, the moment 5 is achieved, we check that 5 is less than or equal to 5, yes, true, so 5 will be printed. But then the moment after that increment, the value of count becomes 6, which is not less than equal to 5, and therefore this is the condition at which while loop will break and it will come out. So this is how the while loop works. For while loop, for managing the loop, there is something called uh, forceful breaking, right? Forcefully we just wanted to break it out, that okay, certain things are there, just break it, whether condition is true or not, just come out of it, right? This is very critical because let's say if we are doing some looping and we realize beforehand that certain value is not agreeing to the contract, we can simply break and come out. So for that, this break statement is available in loop. Similarly, there are many conditions in which we don't want to take any action, the way we had pass in if else, right? So we can use continue in that case. Um, yeah, so we can see that within this we are checking that if number is equal to 3, then continue means don't print anything. So it has not printed when the number was equal to 3. Now we are just taking one example where we can simply see how data validation loops work. So sometimes what happens is as a data engineering practitioner, we get a lot of different data types of files, and we definitely want to process only CSV files. We don't want to process any TXT file within that region. If such conditions are there, then we can run a for loop over it and only process only process the files which are having certain values. So we can have an array where file names are present, and for an array we will have a variable. We'll use, since this is an array, a definitive length is known, so we'll use a for loop, and then this variable f will iterate through each and every item, and then based on certain condition we are going to decide what action to be taken. So for example, if f is pointing to sales chan.csv, then definitely it starts with csv, correct? So if it is not ending with csv, then skip and continue, but if it is ending with csv, then print ready for ingestion. Instead of just printing out, we can simply even have a uh, function like ingest and process, ingest file, ingest file, ingest file or ingest data, something like that. We can simply have it. So this is just one example where we can iterate over each and every file and then understand the data type of it, and based on data type we can take an action. So for loop is used in such case. There are certain conditions which are quite complex and where we definitely go and use a nested for loop. For example, there is a data set called Europe US, European Union. So there are two members of this data set. One is US, one is European Union, and within that also there are sales arrays. It's not just single number. So definitely what we can think of is a nested loop, where we loop through one pointer loops through this each and element of this, like first pointing to US, and within US will point it to the sales numbers one by one, like that. Okay, so this is how nesting loops work. Nest loops with condition, we have already seen that within loops we can put some condition. Loops are the heartbeat of any data processing system, as I mentioned, right? Like operators, then for each loops, conditional statement, they form the integral part of any language and can be used in data engineering flows to define and put the data processing condition in a right way. They help to automate repetitive action, reading files, data validation, result aggregation, and then also put the business condition into it. This is a very critical part of learning Python for data engineering. Understand these loops. There are only two loops, for loops and while loop. We know when to use what. For loop, definite for a definitive length of dataset, we use for loop. When we are sure of the condition but not sure of the data length, we use while loop. This is as simple as that. Okay, so this will help you to help you in your journey for data engineering. So thank you guys for listening into this. Please do subscribe. We'll have complete series of Python, SQL, Spark, and then Databricks platform in detail. Okay. So thank you. Thanks for listening.